It's that time of year where we start to try and fill out our Dynasty fantasy football rosters with guys who are going to contribute this season. I've compiled a list of 6 guys who I think are going to have a greater value either in season or next season than they do right now that I'm trying to add to a huge number of my Dynasty teams, beginning with one Mr. Malik Willis, who I think is one of the most undervalued guys in all of fantasy football, basically in every single format right now. Quarterbacks that run as often as Malik Willis is going to run basically always finish as top 10 quarterbacks. I'm thinking back of guys like Trey Lance, Justin Fields. How many quarterbacks exactly in this mold, questionable passers in good or intelligent offensive coordinator offenses that project for over 50 rushing attempts that you can get for a second round pick? I am in a dynasty rookie draft where free agents from the year prior are in the player pool. I just selected Malik Willis right before I did this show at the 111. I could not believe in the 2026 draft class that he was available there. I mean, I think Malik Willis, if he was a rookie right now with the projection that he has over the next 3 seasons, was in this dynasty rookie class, why would he not be the consensus 107? I would rather have Malik Willis in a super flex format, and honestly, maybe even in some one quarterback formats, depending on how deep it is, over guys like Kenyon Sadiq, over guys like Casey Concepcion. He got paid a 3-year, $67 million deal by the Miami Dolphins. Now, are the Dolphins going to be horrible this most upcoming season? I mean, yeah, they're going to be pretty bad. Malik Willis could get injured. He could get benched. I don't think he is going to get benched, and maybe that is the big difference between me and the market is I anticipate that he is probably going to play all 17 games for the Miami Dolphins. I think he probably is going to average over 5 rush attempts per game. Now, is he going to score 31 fantasy points per game? Probably not, but I think this game that he had against the Bears, where he came in halfway, he got 10 carries for 44 yards and got a rush inside the 5. To me, that is what I think the Malik Willis experience is going to be. And I just want to buy on guys like this in general. I mean, I was a big Trey Lance guy. I was a big Justin Fields guy. Those assets over time ended up depreciating, but not as fast as you might think. Go back in time and go look at the KTC chart for someone like Trey Lance and see how long Trey Lance held his value. So Malik Willis, to me, is just one of the safest buys. I think it's going to be very hard for you to lose sending a second-round pick for Malik Willis, a late first in this 2026 class. I think that is basically easy money. Our next guy is going to be someone who I didn't anticipate this year being in on, but it is going to be one Mr. Jacory Croskey-Merritt, who out of nowhere, right? Very weird college career, only played 1 game his final season because of a weird redshirt issue where the NCAA thought he played more games than he did because one of his teammates had the same jersey number that he did. Just a very weird situation. He got 10 carries in his very first NFL game, then got benched for Chris Rodriguez. Then his quarterback, Jaden Daniels, got injured. Then he came all the way back around to finishing as the running back 7 in week 17, which is, I think a lot of people had forgotten that. And now this is what's in their backfield. Rachaad White, who got $2 million. That is basically no money. The only reason why he is even on the Commanders is because he was college friends with Jaden Daniels. You have Jerome Ford, you have Jeremy McNichols, and you have Katron Allen. Now, is Jacory Croskey-Merritt going to impact passing downs at all? No, he is not. He was really hilariously bad at receiving, and I don't think he's going to play any passing downs at all. But in this offense, I think we saw a very subpar talent Chris Rodriguez show that in this offense, the way it is constituted, whether it was Mariota or Jaden Daniels in there, an early down grinder can have a ton of fantasy football value. You can get Jacory Croskey-Merritt for nothing right now. I mean, truly, I bet in a lot of leagues, a 2027 third would get it done. And what is going to happen in your given league? Think about it. What is going to happen if Jacory Croskey-Merritt starts the year for the Commanders? Is averaging 12.5 fantasy points per game. His value is going to go way up. Not only that, but I think if we get like week 1 information that he is indeed starting, which is the case that I imagine, he's just going to project pretty good. I think Jacory Croskey-Merritt is more likely than not to rank as a fantasy football starter this year, and the market is just not treating him that way at all. Now, a guy who we have absolutely no track record of, who's been totally left for dead. I like making buys like this. Caleb Johnson, 0.8 fantasy points per game. Now, Interestingly enough, you can point more guys like this who did not play at all as round 3 picks who ended up impacting fantasy football than you would think. James Conner is a great example. Tank Bigsby is a pretty good example. Another example that's not on this list would be Kenyon Drake. Now, to be clear, should you even send a third round pick for Caleb Johnson? No. My guess is in most formats, you can get him for nothing. Actually, honestly, I would bet in a lot of your guys' leagues, if they're shallower, not 30-man rosters, I would bet Caleb Johnson is on the waivers in a lot of those leagues. He's clearly behind Rico Dowdle. He's clearly behind Jalen Warren, but he's the biggest bodied back in that backfield. I think he probably this is my opinion because I liked him as a prospect, but I think that he can still be a good interior runner. And this is like picking up a nickel that you find on the street. Everyone in your league, everyone you know, is completely given up on Caleb Johnson. But his prospect stuff, as you guys see, got the 71.65 FSE grade. He was insanely productive his final season at Iowa. I think in this version of the NFL, particularly with Rodgers as the quarterback, there are going to be so many condensed boxes. I imagine that Caleb Johnson can still run against condensed boxes. I mean, is there anyone who's going to have more experience running in condensed boxes than someone who played at Iowa? In fact, Caleb Johnson's final season at Iowa, he generated more yards from scrimmage than the team had passing yards. So Caleb Johnson with over 1,900 scrimmage yards, and his quarterback had less yards than that, which is just absolutely, I mean, it's just unbelievable that he was that productive and then did nothing in the NFL. So I'm leaving the light on, just one small little night light in the corner of the room. I'm leaving it on for Caleb Johnson. And I have a corollary there for someone with basically no light, which is Kyle Williams. I have not heard Kyle Williams referenced or discussed in one fantasy football program this entire offseason. The team signs Romeo Doubs in free agency. They're going to trade for AJ Brown when they're able to, which I believe is the June 1st deadline. Sounds like they're going to trade a first round pick for him. Kyle Williams really didn't play, although frankly, I think you would be hard pressed to remember, the 14-point game against Tampa Bay, the 12-point game against Baltimore. Like he was able to get on the field a little bit in the back half of the season for the New England Patriots. Got some, rotational snaps in the postseason as well. This is what I am thinking with Caleb Williams. The first is a lot of people really liked him as a prospect. The FSC stuff did not love him, but film guys like NFL scout guys did like Kyle Williams a little bit more. And thinking about how the New England Patriots offense can evolve, I think personally, they should move away from the DeMario Douglas, two tight end, Austin Hooper, I guess it's Eli Raridan. Now, like I think an 11 personnel grouping of Kyle Williams, Romeo Doubs, AJ Brown, Hunter Henry, and Trevion Henderson, that should like strike fear in the heart of a defense. And I think very similar to Caleb Johnson, I would almost consider Kyle Williams the wide receiver version, where I kind of liked how the NFL viewed him as a prospect, the type of role that he would fill at an NFL level. I certainly think there's meat on the bone for Kyle Williams. He is going to be attached for the next 3 years to one of the best young quarterbacks in the NFL. He is like above average athleticism. He is the best fit on that offense for a deep threat role. Most recent reports are that Kayshon Boutte has not reported to the rookie minicamp for the Patriots because I think what's become clear is the Patriots don't want him. Like, there's just not really a reason for Kayshon Boutte to be eating up that many snaps on the outside when someone like Kyle Williams, who is just a better, like more athletic, well-rounded player. No disrespect to Kayshon Boutte, but I imagine that Kyle Williams is probably going to be better than him at the NFL level. And again, very similar to Caleb Johnson, you can get this guy for a fourth. You can pick this guy up off as a free agent. Like no one in your league wants Kyle Williams. These guys have been totally left for dead. And that's one thing that I'm just kind of focusing on in general with the 2025 rookie class, with how poor the 2026 rookie class is. I think more of these guys than we imagine are going to get chances to play this year. Jaden Blue, DJ Giddens. Like there's a handful of guys who had very limited roles as rookies who I expect to sort of unexpectedly have big boosts in playing time this season. And then the final one that we have, it's going to cost you a little bit more, but it's not going to cost you enough relative to the baseline, but it is going to be one Mr. Chig Okonkwo. And if we look at the rankings here on the staff, I mean, I'm not even that high on him at 215, but some of these guys barely even have him ranked. Only scored 7.2 fantasy points per game last year, has never been above 7.2 fantasy points per game, has never really been a large part of any of the offenses that he played in Tennessee. But I'm looking at the 2026 Commanders, and I'm saying, okay, if they don't get Brandon Ayuk, if they don't re-sign Deebo Samuel, what's the plan? Are they going to bring Zach Ertz coming off of the torn ACL and feature him in the passing offense? I don't think so. And I think this is actually a case where underdog drafters are pretty sharp. They've got him up to the tight end 20, 153.2 ADP overall. I'm betting that Chig Okonkwo has the best year of his career this year. He has never topped 79 targets, but he is a chunk play guy. He generates loads of yak. To me, that's a great fit for Jaden Daniels. That is a great fit for kind of this hybrid of the Cliff Kingsbury stuff that they were running before they fired him, the McShanny tree stuff. I think that old bling blang Blau, David Blau, is actually going to have Chig Okonkwo featured as a member of the passing game. And some of the stuff that Chig Okonkwo has said to members of the media as a member of the Commanders made me feel even better about that. I was talking to Andrew Cooper over on the Davis Maddock Best Ball channel last week, and he mentioned that Chig Okonkwo was one of his biggest targets in best ball this year because of the way he was talking about the role he was going to have and the way the Commanders have talked about his role. It's all about generating and giving those opportunities for yards after catch, which, I mean, when you look up what Chig Okonkwo can do on his baseball card, it's generate chunk plays. And if we get him, away from this lower snap share stuff, if we get him away from 66% of the snaps up to, 80, 85% of the snaps, I think there's really no reason that Chig Okonkwo can't come close to threatening a top 10 season. So that is a list of 6 guys who are very cheap to acquire: Malik Willis, Jacory Croskey-Merritt, Caleb Johnson. Oh, I actually just skipped one. I saved the best for last. One that is not going to be on very many other lists. But right now, I can't see why Stefon Diggs is not a screaming ad in any format. He generated 12.5 fantasy points per game last year. He generated 2.5 yards per route run. He finished as the wide receiver 25 in points per game, finished as the wide receiver 17 in total points, 210 points overall. He is not coming off of an injury. He is passed up on his legal case, so there's no reason to think that he is going to be suspended or not play this upcoming season. He's not currently attached to a team. I think we all know how these things work. Once Stefon Diggs becomes attached to a team, his cost is going to rise in best ball. His cost is going to rise in Dynasty. It would be very different if Diggs was coming off a down year where he had not played well. Like, for example, after that 2023 season in Buffalo, I didn't know if he was any good anymore. Down to a career low 2.02 yards per route run. He had not been that low since 2018. But based on the evidence that we have, Stefon Diggs is capable, maybe even above average, at being like a number 1 or number 2 weapon for a very good offense. And there are a decent number of places where he could sign where I think his value would be quite high. Could be the Commanders, who we just talked about. That could be interesting. He could go back to New England, in which case his value would probably not be great, and we would not want to be buying on Kyle Williams. Rumors are that the Kansas City Chiefs have been interested. Rumors are that the Los Angeles Chargers could be interested. I wonder if he might be a fit with the Los Angeles Rams. They don't really have a third wide receiver to speak of. It would surprise me for him. Like, how surprised would you be for Diggs to finish outside the top 30 fantasy wide receivers in scoring if he plays the entire year? I personally would be surprised. A guy who's very similar to this, who I added in a bunch of dynasty leagues last offseason, was Keenan Allen, where it was pretty clear what was going to happen with Keenan Allen's playing time, is that he was just going to wait to start, but he was going to be very good when he did play. So I'm very in on Stefon Diggs and sending out a lot of trade offers for him. So a list of 6 guys who you can buy for bargain basement prices who are going to help your fantasy football teams this year: Malik Willis, Jacory Croskey-Merritt, Caleb Johnson, Stefon Diggs, Kyle Williams, and Chig Okonkwo. Comment down below any other cheap guys that you're liking to buy in Dynasty right now. If you want to get your team reviewed on this channel on a stream, you can sign up for Flock Fantasy using code Davis. You can get access to my rankings, all these cool tools over on Flock Fantasy. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel, and I will see you guys back very soon.